Are you setting boundaries in your relationships? Did you know that if you don't, that's like the fastest way to burnout, resentment, stress, and definitely it will be damaging your relationships no matter what kind of relationships you have. Something romantic, friendships, coworkers, neighbors, anything that has ship at the end, to be honest. So I tell you three things, I mean, not three things, but three boundaries that you definitely need to keep with all of your ships. But before we'll get into this, just let's get clear what are the boundaries and what boundaries are not. Because you see, when I started on my journey towards health and stress management, I learned that I understood boundaries like the wrong way. You see, in my world, I was thinking setting boundaries, this means I need to tell other people what they need to do. No, no, that's wrong. Basically, what it is, you need to know why you need those boundaries. What is something that you don't like that maybe feels wrong, maybe you feel triggered, it just, makes you feel invalidated maybe. And then you tell the other person, this is makes me feel bad, and for our relationship to work, I would like you to do something differently in the future, and this is what will help me. And then you tell them, if you will be breaking that, then I will do this and this. You see, it's about what are you going to do if the boundary is broken. So, for example, let's say somebody is insulting you and you tell them, next time you will put me down, I will not be talking to you and I'll be leaving the room. So that's mean next time something happens and they will, put you down, you leave the room. You see, that is what the boundaries are. Alright, so now back to our original idea for this video. Number one, you really need to have a boundary with other people and understanding really deep down that you are not responsible for other people's emotions, how they feel, meaning emotional boundaries. You are not responsible. I'm repeating this. Now, if you immediately got triggered and you're like, oh my gosh, what do you mean? I get it. Because if you grew up in the childhood where you've been invalidated and people that way around you could be teachers, neighbors, siblings, and the worst part, the authority figures like your parents, your grandparents, somebody who are very important in your life when you're growing up, especially in the immediate proximity. If they did not validate you enough, if they didn't make you feel deserving and lovable and seen and safe, you may have difficulty with this. Because if you grew up in the environment where you didn't feel safe, and for example, my dad was an alcoholic, okay? I'm only one child. I didn't have any siblings that I could console or, hide behind their backs. I was afraid to go home after school because I didn't know what I'm going to find there. So naturally, I knew that my survival really depended on how is my dad going to feel that day? How's my mom's going to feel that day? So I was very keen and I became very sensitive about the emotions. And now, when I'm telling you about that emotional boundaries are very important, there were no boundaries there because I immediately, when I got home and they came back home, I could sense there was something's off. And when I sense there is something off, I immediately start thinking about my own survival. Meaning, if they're not happy with me, they will discard me. Meaning, I'm not gonna be fed and they will get me out of the house and hence I die. I know, it's an extreme. But when you are a child, you know your survival depends on your parents. So naturally, I was very keen on pleasing them. No matter what they do, I want to make sure that they're in a good mood. I remember my dad will come back home, and he will be drunk, and I will be like this clown, and like making sure that he's still in a good mood. And my mom maybe had a bad day, and then I will making jokes, and I will tell them about the stories that I read, and it would be all this people pleasing, and also I will try to divert the emotions. I will try to manipulate how they feel. And why is that happening? Because I did not feel safe with them in the same room. So emotional boundaries is to understand that it is not your job to make other people to feel good. You cannot manipulate them into feeling good. When you're a child, that's a very different story. But I believe you watching this video are over 18 years old. That means you're an adult. You can take care of your own emotions, and you should. And also know that it's not your job to make them feel good. You know, especially today in society, I see a lot of times, and especially when social media and all, somebody says something and then another person says, well, how dare you, you hurt my feelings, you're doing this and this and that. It's impossible to control other people's feelings. We barely can control our own feelings. Can we just get something straight? If we all start taking care of our own feelings, then maybe we'll be having less of those misunderstandings and pointing fingers and saying, you're responsible how I feel. Again, if you just kind of rolled your eyes at me now and also thought, wait a minute, is this whole video we are supposed to set boundaries? Exactly. But I said it's not about pointing a finger at the person saying, you're doing wrong and I don't want you to do this because all of that. But also, where is this really coming from? Understanding that true relationships is about feeling seen or feeling safe, lovable, validated. And if there is an abuse, because that's why you need to have those boundaries, this means that doesn't make you feel good. That doesn't make you feel safe. That should not be in the relationship. It has to be balanced. One person is there for another person. And that's what we still need to learn. But naturally, we need to understand and have empathy that other people also coming with their own childhood traumas. They're also coming from different patterns that they learn in their household. That's why it could be a lot of convoluted decisions that have to be involved and like trying to maneuver this. But the number one boundary that you need to keep with other people is to understanding that you're not responsible for other people's emotions. How you react to whatever those other people do, it is your problem. But there's no way you will control them and manipulate them in feeling better, no matter how hard you will try. And I've seen over and over with my family members, with my friends, with my clients, when they have especially someone that they love and they care in their life that's getting, for example, sick, they try to maneuver them into getting better. And then they get upset because the other person is not doing something, not taking medication, not getting, healthier foods and stuff like that. We cannot control the people, and we cannot control how they will feel. So that's the emotional boundary that you really need to remind yourself that you cannot make them feel something. And you should not be feeling guilty about that. Because if you feel guilty, that means there was something in your childhood that's been taught to you that you don't deserve to have any boundaries. You probably even don't know what those boundaries were, and it was very difficult. So I will recommend you to go and check out my other videos that I just released, pretty much like a few videos right before this one, where I really dig deep into why you may have difficulties with setting boundaries, and obviously I give you tips and tricks how to overcome those. Okay, the second boundary that you also need to keep is the time boundary. And that is not being available to other people 24/7. I know, you probably immediately got triggered. You're like, wait a minute, if a mom calls, I better be waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning picking up the phone. No. Definitely can be very hard when you have some family members that, they definitely need your immediate attention. But this is where you need to ask yourself, do I really need to talk with my sister at 10 p.m. about some sort of issue that she has? Does it really need to be talking about this right now? Or can this wait till tomorrow? Why we may have difficulty of setting this boundary. Because if you grew up in an environment, again, if you are not feeling safe and validated enough and seen and loved for just who you are, this is really coming from your people pleasing and fear of abandonment. Because you are afraid if you will not respond to that email right away, if you will not pick up that phone, they will be disappointed in you and they will discard you. And hence you die. That's pretty much survivalism, right? But you are an adult now. You can take care of yourself. And hence, that's why you need to have time boundaries with your friends, with your coworkers, with all of those people. You need to know where's your time, your energy will go that day. And you need to really think what people are your priority and what people are not. I've seen over and over, especially my clients, those that go on vacation, for example, and then they bring their own laptops and they have to talk with the employees, they need to talk with their bosses and all of this. That's time management for your mental health, for your energy, but also that's like zero time boundaries. That got to change. And also, if you finish your work at 5 p.m., let's say, this is where you stop working. You should not be answering phone calls from your boss. You should not be answering your emails. Next time when you catch yourself of thinking, oh my gosh, I need to pick up the phone, or I need to respond to that person, or I need to respond to every single message that your friend sends you, ask yourself, do you have fear of abandonment? And also, if those people, they believe that you need it, do you seriously think they will just drop you altogether if you do not respond to the email or you do not call them back? I doubt that. And I'll recommend you start doing that. Just little things. Don't answer right away. Call them later, message them later, and see what happens. I bet nothing will happen. And remember, the more boundaries you have and the more stronger you are on your boundaries, more respect you get. So start small steps. Implement those small boundaries here or there, and then you'll get more courage and more trust in your own abilities. Especially in romantic relationships, and I tell you, when I started dating after I got divorced a few years back, I was very eager to responding every single man that I was messaging with, like right away. And then later on, I find out that just looks like I'm being very clingy. In my mind, I just wanted to show my respect, that I don't want to waste their time, so I'm very being communicative and open. Well, actually, that was fear of abandonment. So take a moment now, make a list of people, and kind of go one by one and ask yourself, how fast am I responding to the messages? Is there a need to respond to the messages right away? And do they really trigger fear of abandonment? That's the question. And now, the third and the final boundary for today to know that we need to implement with anyone is the respect boundary. So ask yourself, do you have those people that, let's say, they keep on insulting you? Or maybe at work, maybe your boss, maybe you have a friend who they always have something funny to say, but they actually really just putting you down. They don't make you feel good. Maybe even it's a family member, maybe your mom, maybe your dad or your brother or sister, especially those people that you grew up with and you think that you have to have that relationship with them, that you're afraid that you will be all left behind and abandoned. Those are very difficult to have that boundary. So what is that you do? The next time when somebody puts you down or they insult you or they raise their voice, you say, this hurts my feelings. I don't like how you're treating me. If you will raise your voice again, I will leave the room. But that means that next time this happens, if it happens, you really need to leave the room. I know it's way too much. 3 boundaries. I know there's a lot to think about that, but think about it. And remember, the more you have those boundaries, the more the people respect you. And more than that, you will respect yourself more as well. So if you need help with this, with boundaries, I am here to help you. Go to my website, beamazingyou.com, and book that session. You can have 30 minutes, an hour, or even more.